Now, a lot of centrist Democrats and Republicans say that Bernie Sanders' policy positions are pie in the sky. They're unworkable, and they're likely to not be supported by the American people. They think that being center-right is actually in line with the wishes of the American people. I think the average politician believes that the rest of the country is about as conservative as one of the most conservative districts in Louisiana. So now what that means to them is, well, American people, they obviously want fiscal responsibility, balanced budgets, free market individualism, and absolutely no socialism. Well, that might be wrong. It turns out we're all kind of socialists. Now, take this new poll from Morning Consult on Bernie's plan to make all public colleges and universities tuition free. Now, you listen to a centrist, you listen to a right-wing pundit, they're going to be like, oh my God, this socialist plan giving free money, ponies to everybody. But wait a minute, this is actually a fairly uncontroversial plan. Now, considering that we spend billions of dollars on the different programs like Pell Grants, for example, and other programs in order to try to help people afford college already. Now, despite all this spending, college tuition continues to skyrocket. It's actually a major problem. Now, how this relates to Republicans, well, Morning Consult decided to ask Republicans who do care about fiscal responsibility whether or not they support a proposal to make four-year public colleges and universities tuition-free, the Bernie Sanders plan. Now, that was the exact wording. So let me tell you how they responded. 47% of Republican respondents said that they strongly or somewhat support the proposal, while 45% say they strongly or somewhat oppose it. So let me get this straight. There's a majority of Republicans that are like, free college? Why not? But wait, it gets better and actually a little weirder. Among self-identified Tea Party backers, support is also strong, with 50% saying they support the proposal, while 49% oppose it. Now, that's among the Tea Party, okay? You know what Tea Party stands for? Taxed enough already. And here they are, they're like, yeah, free college, university, whatever. Yeah, go ahead and take my tax money and do this. That's amazing. Now, again, this is a much slimmer margin, 50 to 49, but again, we're cool with free college. Overall, with the American people, 63% of Americans support the proposal, while only 29% in total oppose it. So let me get into the point of where this actually makes a ton of sense fiscally, because I know there are the right-wing pundits, there are the centrists that are out there, they're crying about ponies, they're talking about, oh my God, how can we ever afford this? Okay, well, for one, let me just point out that Congress just approved an $80 billion hike in defense spending. That's an $80 billion increase. Okay, now that increase, that could have paid for free college for everyone in America. And yet, again, our defense budget is nearly $700 billion a year. They got an increase of $80 billion. And you know how much free college would have cost? Just over $40 billion. According to the New America Foundation, we currently spend $69 billion, or at least we did in 2013, on the hodgepodge of different financial aid programs, such as Pell Grants for low-income students, tax breaks, and work-study funding. That does not include how much we spend in student loans. So not only would free tuition, tuition for every public college and university save us money, but it turns out everybody would graduate without debt. You know what that would help? That would help small businesses as well as large businesses. Now think about it. Without having to service that debt, new graduates could instead buy houses, new cars, new furniture, get married, have kids, participate in the economy, and actually generally live life. So we have the money to do this, right? In fact, doing this would save money in the long run. And get this, everybody who wanted an education will be able to get one. Now, the pundits, of course, they despise this, especially on the right. In fact, the website Hot Air said, quote, turns out a lot of Republicans want their free shit too. God forbid Trump figures that out. Because again, Trump follows the polls and he lives on affirmation. Somebody quick send a tweet to Trump with this poll in it and be like, hey man, if you give us free, public college and university, you'll be super popular. Also healthcare, super popular. Just saying. But look, the thing is, again, the right, the pundits on the right that are getting funded by the Koch brothers and all these giant think tanks to go out and put out this propaganda that is basically there to shrink government so that people like the Koch brothers don't have to pay taxes. The billionaires don't have to pay more taxes. That's who's trying to shut this down. But think about it. To the average Trump or Republican, this is actually fiscally sound. I mean, look, free education that allows people to get better jobs or learn to create businesses without being saddled with all this debt is wonderful for the average, even the average Republican. But to these pundits, it's, as Hillary Clinton puts it, a pony. Which, by the way, she was against that at first until Bernie Sanders made her get on board with this, with a slightly more or slightly less progressive plan, but that would still leave people without debt. But look, the thing is, it's not a pony, it's actually smart policy. It's an investment in people. And look, I know we don't invest in people anymore. I get that, right? Instead, we invest in corporations, and yet, of course, they want us to believe that those two things are the same, that people are corporations, that corporations are people. Well, they're not, and no one buys it. Now, there is one more interesting tidbit on this, and that is the poll also shows support for a number of social spending proposals, which would again seem to be very socialist. For instance, 43% of Americans said that they supported a universal basic income versus the 39% who happened to be opposed. Now, that actually is more a libertarian idea, or at least it was proposed by a libertarian. But basically his thought was, give people a basic income and then we can eliminate all the welfare programs. Now, the reason to do that, I think in their view, is, well, that shrinks government, that gets rid of all these redundant agencies, and it just says, we're going to give you the choice and the freedom to go and spend your money how you choose, instead of the government telling you how to spend this welfare money. For example, SNAP only goes to food, and WIC only goes to children, et cetera, et cetera. We're just going to give you a lump of money, and you're going to go spend it however you're going to spend it, and if you misuse it, well, that's your fault. So I get that. But nonetheless, UBI is actually a very solid, sound policy. And especially, I think it's going to be especially important, and I think we're going to have a bigger conversation on UBI as automation continues to progress. That is a huge, huge threat. For example, if we do end up having a UBI and automation takes most of the menial jobs, well, if we have UBI, then that's not a bad thing. The people can still live comfortably. They can train for some of the better jobs, create new jobs, or, they at least don't have to live in poverty for the inability to get a job. Now, if we go the opposite route and don't adopt a UBI, well then, and the automation will take those menial jobs, well, then we're going to end up having a permanent underclass of low-skilled, perpetually unemployed, and uneducated citizens who will end up being ruthlessly exploited, if not just forgotten. So for those people, we can end up with a real big dystopia on our hands. And I think that a lot of Americans kind of understand that. If the robots take all your jobs, well, then you've got to do something for the people so they can survive. And they realize that, hey, UBI, that kind of makes sense. So anyway, it turns out on the issues, no matter what label you are, Democrat or Republican, I think Americans are actually far more progressive than we give them credit for, and they understand good, sound policy. And more importantly, they align more with Bernie Sanders than they did with Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. And I have to ask, knowing that, is there any more doubt that Bernie would have won? Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.